Good evening and welcome to the Channel Studios here in London with your international news around the world in 5. Witnesses say police were urged to charge into a deadly school shooting in Texas by onlookers, with one suggesting he considered doing so himself as he became frustrated.
Lord, we come in agony. We come with broken.
Hundreds gathered in Uvalde, Texas to remember the victims of the deadly shooting at a local elementary school. Texas officials say gunman Salvador Ramos was inside the school for up to an hour before he was killed. 19 children and 2 adults died, while 17 others were injured. Authorities said the gunman locked himself in a classroom, which officers then struggled to gain access to. Ukraine says Russian forces have attacked more than 40 towns in the eastern Donetsk and Luhansk region. Russia's defense ministry released footage of an Iskander-K missile launch against an unnamed military target. The cities of Severodonetsk and Lysychansk in the Donbass had earlier come under intense bombardment. According to the head of the local military civil administration, the key cities have been under constant fire for the past week and a half. Meanwhile, the mayor of Kyiv says the over 3-month-long war in Ukraine has felt like one non-stop day.
I am very proud.
The former heavyweight boxing champion VITALI KLITSCHKO told members attending the last day of the World Economic Forum in Davos. Ukraine has been at the top of the agenda at the 4-day meeting that has gathered some 2,000 business and economic leaders. Klitschko said it was difficult to explain what was going on in Kyiv.
I'm very proud to be the part of our society who tough and defend our homeland, our home city from Russians.
Ministers from the world's wealthiest democracies have met in Berlin in an attempt to keep climate change goals on track. The talks come at a time when concerns over climate change are being overshadowed by spiralling energy costs and fuel supply worries sparked by the war in Ukraine. Energy, climate and environmental ministers from the group of 7 G7 countries want to reaffirm a commitment to cap global warming at 1.5 degrees Celsius and protect biodiversity at the meeting. Campaigners had urged the G7 group of the world's wealthiest democracies to make clear commitments that the fallout of the Ukraine war would not derail their targets.
The message to the world is we are behind. We are not where we need to be post-Glasgow. We need to accelerate dramatically, and we cannot fall into this false narrative that because of Ukraine, there is now an excuse to have to go pump out and build an entire new generation of infrastructure. That will be catastrophic unless it comes with all of the mitigation and abatement, the capturing of emissions.
President Macky Sall says 11 newborn babies have died in a hospital fire in the western city of Tivaouane in Senegal. The fire at Mame Abdou Aziz Sy Dabakh Hospital was in the maternity department. Initial reports suggest the fire was caused by a short circuit. 3 babies were saved from the fire, according to officials. The country's health minister said an investigation was underway and he would be cutting his trip short to return to Senegal immediately. The incident has sparked a wave of indignation on social media over the state of the country's healthcare provision. The UN says more than 80,000 people displaced by clashes in Eastern Democratic Republic of Congo are in urgent need of food. Fighting between government soldiers and M23 rebels has intensified in recent weeks in North Kivu province. The clashes spread south early this week to about 20 kilometers from Goma town, the provincial capital. Humanitarian agencies fear the worst for the refugees if the hostilities continue. And finally, the London Eye is set to transform one of its 32 pods into a 1950s-style pub to celebrate the Queen's Jubilee later this month. Visitors will be able to step back in time to Her Majesty's Coronation Day and grab one of Queen Elizabeth's favourite tipples while 135 metres in the air to celebrate her 70th year on the throne.
Just for this.
Don't worry, guys.
Built in the form of a classic British pub, the Queen's Head places guests inside a 1950s pub on the day Elizabeth II ascended to the throne. Guests will be served a choice of beefeater gin and Dubonnet-based cocktails, widely known to be the monarch's drink of choice. And that's your international news around the world in 5. Now back to the Channel Studios in Lagos.